in New York. Um, and thanks for the reminder, Tom. Hope everybody is well. Tom says good morning and welcome to Sunday Brunch Live. Grab your drinks and the mimosas, grab your favorite snack or breakfast, and join us for some partying into pop culture and fandom. Absolutely. Good morning, everybody. I hope everybody is well today. And of course, we have Retro Nerd Girl. Hi, Retro Nerd Girl. How are you today? I will be seeing you at 7 p.m. Eastern tonight for our Oscar party live watch show. It should be a fun evening tonight. I'm really looking forward to that, guys. So it's going to be incredible. So, there is so much going on. Of course, I have the banner at the bottom of the screen. I know a lot of people's clocks or they're still sleeping because this is not their normal 10:30, but it is the new 10:30. It's the new 10:30. It is the new 10:30 this morning. Can you believe it? But we are well into March. It feels like it was just January a few weeks ago. And good morning to you, Norwegian Kryptonian. I hope you are well this morning. So good to see you. Hope things are doing great. I hope you're having a great Sunday. It's probably the afternoon for you now. Hope all is well with you. And thank you so much for stopping by. So yes, I'm going to be talking about The Mandalorian. And of course, Mandalorian season 3, episode 2, which has gotten a lot of attention recently because of how interesting it was and because of so many of these things that were in this episode. And of course, there is right now, the Mandalorian show does have a lot to do with our bestie Grogu, who we see here in his repulsor pod, kind of cruising along. He looked really cute with Din in this episode. There will be some spoilers. So I have the thing at the bottom saying, hey, it's going to be a spoiler review. This was a great episode. And so many people were waiting for it. As you know, on the channel here, I watched it live. I did a live 3 a.m. show, which was, I'm okay for that night, although it is difficult. But then the following night, when I have to do Picard season 3 as well at 2 a.m., it does get a little difficult. I have a little trouble. I'm not as good in middle of the week partying or getting up as I am. Hey, Russ, how are you today?
That's better. I'm okay, thank you. How are you?
I'm great. Russ, I know you have limited amount of time today to be with us, so I will not keep you long this morning, but it's just great to see you today, Russ.
Nice to see you too, and nice to see all the people in the chat. I see Big Joe just arrived. He was obviously just waiting for my heroic entrance. So hello, Big Joe. Hello, Retro. Hello, Tom. Hello, Norwegian Kryptonian, and everybody else that I missed. I'm sorry I'm late, but I didn't realize it was daylight savings in America. So I thought I was actually sitting down watching a really awesome movie. Hey, Retro. Which I then stopped because I got a text saying, "Where the fuck are you?" So
I'm sorry, Russ. I should have reminded you. Tom Jr. Jackson reminded me, and it hadn't occurred to me that I should have reminded you that it was daylight savings time. And I feel terrible about that. But I do want to say I'm glad that you're here. And hello to Saya Dream for a $10 super sticker. Thank you so much, Tom. What is the super sticker? Because I can't see what it looks like. But Saya Dream, thank you so much for the support. I so appreciate that. It makes such a big difference here in Sunday Brunch. I just so appreciate you doing that. That is so kind of you to go ahead and put a super sticker there so that we can do this. Oh, thank you. Saya Dream says, I'm loving the streams the past few weeks. Keep it up. Thank you. I am going to keep it up. I certainly am going to continue with Hogwarts Legacy. I certainly am going to continue with the live watch shows of The Last of Us, which will be ending tonight. I'll be doing my watch party tomorrow, and I certainly will be continuing with the Mandalorian live streams as long as the show continues. So thank you so much for the support. That is so kind of you. It makes such a big difference for me here on the channel to continue going. And thank you. Tom says that it's a little fox with a big heart. Oh, thank you.
Much like you are.
Oh! I love that, Russ. That is really sweet. Thank you so much, Russ. And thank you, Saya Dream. And of course, Tom Jr. Jackson, my moderator and collaborator. We are all goof people here this morning. And of course, Russ, I kind of started off with this picture of this little guy who I can't get enough of course, Grogu, who, Russ, did you watch The Mandalorian
I
season?
did, and I've been, now that I'm sort of caught up with the show, I tend to watch, other channels and see what people are saying. And I honestly, I've seen a lot of negative talk about Mandalorian season three, and I've got to say, not just because I'm on positive fandom actually, but just I'm enjoying it. It's great. It's really light. It's really fun. Um, One of the criticisms I heard was it's like a sort of computer game in that he goes and he has to now find the part for the droid, and then he has to go on to the next quest and the next quest and the next quest. Um, and I don't mind. It's not Andor. I think what Andor really finally proved in the visual medium, alongside Rogue One, I guess, but certainly with Andor, Star Wars is all things to all men or all people. There is a place for like comic booky shows like The Mandalorian, and there's place for heavy stuff like Andor. And I have to say, I'm really enjoying this season. I loved this second episode. The sort of info dumps by Bo-Katan about the creatures and all that didn't feel forced at all. Um, I mean, there's some leaps of logic going on in the Mandalorian, but I think you know what you're going to get with it, and I'm fine with it. It's really exciting, and yeah, and I was happy that he got to bathe in the waters of Mandalore and all of that stuff, and yeah, it was brilliant. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I enjoyed it as well, Russ. And of course, there was a lot in this episode to go through that was just absolutely wonderful. And guys, remember, you can always contact Russ at russwhitfield.com. Check out his Gladiatrix series. Certainly is worth checking out, everybody. And we are going to be doing a special on the channel here and on the Burnettwork about the Gladiatrix series. And of course, about Spartacus, which is coming up.
I
So, guys,
can't wait for Spartacus. I can't wait for new Spartacus, man. Come on.
this is going to be epic, guys. We have so much coming up here on Positive Fandom and on the Burnettwork, soon to be called Imagination Connoisseurs Unlimited this year. It's going to be just so packed with things. I can't wait to see your reactions to everything there. So do check that out. Retro Norco says, Russ, you were nailing it. Star Wars is all things to all people.
Oh,
Yes.
thanks, Retro. Yeah, I think so. Um, I think in the post sequel trilogy world, that it's the same of DC fandom, and it's the same is true of Star Wars. Those latter films have kind of split the fan base, but I do feel with Star Wars that the sequel trilogy stuff now is just in the rear view mirror, and it doesn't seem to really get talked about that much. And I stand to be corrected on that because I'm not like a huge Star Wars know everything about the galaxy guy, but there's not as much conversation about those films anymore, other than to sort of deride them in passing. And I just kind of feel with the Andoverse and the Mandoverse and things like that, it almost seems to be like a tacit agreement from Lucasfilm that although that's the eventual direction of travel, we're never going to get there. And I just think those films will recede uh, with time until the inevitable reboot.
Absolutely. And this has absolutely nothing to do with what you're talking about. Retro Nerd Girl says, oh, it's Grogu. Sometimes I like when they show Grogu and they put like a different color on him and he turns to this bluish color, like his skin turns blue. It's the coolest thing ever, because he's already green. And then sometimes he looks a little blue. I'm like, this is so cool. So I just like these pictures like here where he's kind of looking at fireworks. And I thought that Din could have just taken a little time out and just let him enjoy the fireworks a little, because, not that Grogu doesn't have time to see fireworks, but it's their time together. Go ahead and stay. Let him enjoy the fireworks. Take him to Disney. Take him to all the parks. Let him enjoy himself.
Well, I did like, I mentioned this last week when we were talking about episode 1, and when he was showing him the star map,
Yes.
and this is this planet, and this is how it pays off in this episode. I was amazed because I thought that was like a really pointless scene filler, you know, for him just to explain to this Grogu character what a star map is. Of course, now it pays off because he has to use the map to get back to Bo-Katan, and he's sort of pointing at it, and it all, dare I say, this episode almost subverts your expectations in that everybody thought, and a lot of the online commentators thought this as well. Like I mentioned, the sort of game stuff, that he was going to get the chip for IG88. Is that right? Is that his name? IG88?
IG11.
IG11. Sorry.
He's actually, the 88 is the earlier model that you see in the original Star
In
Wars.
Empire, right? Okay, yeah. So he's going to get the part for the IG model, but he doesn't, and he gets a nice little, you know. Of course, it's all fan service, you know. R5D4 from the original Star Wars, who's never been the most stable of droids, and it was great just to have that little character in there as well. So yeah, I really liked it, and when I was saying is there's some leaps of logic. I think, you know, sort of Bo-Katan clearly doesn't want anything to do with the Mandalorian, but here now she is putting her life on the line. But I'm going to go with it. I'm going to go with it. And the only one criticism I would have of this episode, and this might just be me, and I'd be interested to know if this is just me or you. When he was in the caves fighting the Morlocks or whatever they were, it was so dark I couldn't see what was going on. And when he got captured by that robot, half robot cyborg thing, and got clamped in the jaw, I just couldn't see what was happening. Was that just my telly, or was it just really hard to see?
It was darker.
Uh-huh.
It was not as bright, and I think that they, for some reason, for whatever reason, depending upon what type of television you have, it can be very, very dark.
Yeah, it was.
You're not the only one who said this. A lot of people did have difficulty seeing some of the scenes in the show. And you're not the only one. Unfortunately, it's something that is inherent in the show. I don't know whether it's because of the way that it was done, whether it's the lighting, whether it's the setting. I know Robert's always telling me, well, you know, the saturation of the film. And I'm like, yes, okay, you know, but I'm not an expert. He's always talking about how there's like these color corrections and all sorts of treatments to a lot of these shows. I don't know if it's the same for movies or for TV, but it is kind of a complicated process. And sometimes it's great, and sometimes it's not. And, you know, a lot of times I have to adjust the thing. I mean, Joe Tyson felt it was too dark for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and hey, Tom Jr. Jackson is talking about A Year of Ravens novel of Boudica's Rebellion Kindle edition. Go ahead and order that. We certainly will, Tom Jr. Jackson.
Oh, is that out now? Because they're these are re-releases. I wrote that like 6 or 7 years ago, I think. And they were EPUB'd originally. It was like a group of writers got together, and so far better writers than me. I get one. Everyone gets a chapter. So what you end up with is like 100,000 word book, with each person sort of contributing between 10 and 20,000 words per chapter, and it's all interlinked. So that one there is the story of Boudica's rebellion against the Romans. You know, and I do the one bit of the story which leads into the next bit of the story, and so on and so on. But they sold the rights to somebody recently, and they're bringing them out as real books, as paperbacks. So that's kind of exciting. But I digress.
Exciting. No, that Tom Jr. Jackson, I'm glad you pulled that up. So guys, please do check out A Year of Ravens, a novel of Boudica's Rebellion, on Kindle, available now. Please do check it out, guys. And Russ, you had mentioned R5, and something that I think is really interesting about R5, at least to me, is that for the longest time, R2, who is the person who is telling us the story of Star Wars, R2 is the person telling the story. So he's the historian, he's recorded everything. But R5 has also been there from the beginning. And I can't help but wonder if R5 knows as much, although he wasn't present for everything, knows as much of what was going on outside of what R2 knows. In other words, R5 was there from the beginning too. Remember, I think it was somebody booby trapped R5 so that they wouldn't buy R5 and they would have to buy R2. So R5 kind of got a bad rap.
Hmm.
But R5 has been around for a long time. And we even know that R5 has information because he plugged into Bo-Katan's computer while he was on her ship. And so
Yes.
I have to wonder how important that's going to be. They didn't have to show that, Russ. They didn't have to show us that R5 plugged into Bo-Katan's computer.
Right.
It's going to change things for Din going forward now that he might have more information about what's going on.
Well, see, the thing with the star maps, right? What that has done for me is made me pay much more attention to what they're saying now and what they're doing. So yeah, he plugged in. But did you notice also um Bo-Katan says to Grogu, so like how good are you with the Force? I've known a few Jedi's in my time and all that kind of thing. Is that Ahsoka baiting? Why is she asking him how good he is with the Force? Where is that going to lead? And like for episode one, and actually with the preceding seasons of The Mandalorian, there hasn't been that much in the way of foreshadowing that I can remember. Not like this, but that star map thing, I was like, "Ooh, okay. Why are you talking about? Why are you plugging in?" All of that stuff. So I'm really paying attention to what they're saying. It almost seems like they've, although they're keeping it light and fluffy, there seems to be a little bit more depth and maturity to the writing. Dare I say, in a show like the Mandalorian. But it does seem like it, as I say, foreshadowing. Now you got me curious. What's going on here?
Absolutely. And the hidden is here. Hello, the hidden. Hope.
Hey, the hidden is revealed.
Yes. And Mighty Orbot says, and the tragic fate of R4 in episode 3. I hope not, our Mighty Orbots. I hope that he manages to survive or at least download what he knows to the N1 or some other panel so that Din knows what's going on, because Din is so in the dark. No one's sharing any information with him. And we're already on season 3 now. It's been so many years. He still doesn't know a lot. He's very much, like not as well informed as he can be, and it is kind of hard to watch him like this. But he has Pele, who is very knowledgeable. She knows the 411. So on that end, she tells him a lot. And she doesn't hold anything back, which is also very interesting. She even kind of jokes with him and calls him, "No, we don't have the IG-11's parts, Grandpa." Like nobody makes those anymore. But he's still going to ask. But I just kind of felt like R4 is incredibly important in the story. And going forward, we're going to see some pretty interesting things from R4. I'm going to share another screen there. So the other thing I was going to say is, so of course, Russ, you mentioned those Morlocks, and I'm assuming that the Morlocks are just a paying homage to, what's the name of the movie again? I can't remember it.
The Time Machine.
The Time Machine. Thank you so much. Even though I've said it about a bazillion times, I can't remember what it's called. But I thought that was very interesting that they paid attention to purposefully making it look exactly like the Morlocks, like those things. What I was actually kind of surprised with was how big they were. Like they were huge, Russ. I wasn't expecting those creatures to be so big. And, we could see how Din just was not prepared for this. He really, I had kind of said, I'm kind of tired of seeing them throw Din into these sort of Pandora's box, kind of missions, like something out of a Greek play where it's like, oh, you have to get the crucible off of the side of the mountain of whatever in the dark while it's snowing or raining or whatever. And, like some just impossible feat. He goes there and he sees a lot of these Mandalorian helmets just packed down in the dirt. And of course it grabbed his attention. That's when this weirdo creature, I still don't even know what the name of this creature is, Russ. I mean, I have no idea.
Bo-Katan explains what the Morlocks are. She does give him a name. But
Yes.
the cyborg thing, I've no idea what that was.
Yes, the creatures that look like the Morlocks are called Alamites. And of course, this other
sounds like a biblical tribe.
Yes, exactly. This other creature, whatever
Yes.
it's called, I don't know what it is, but it did look pretty cool as far as I'm concerned, coming
Mhm.
out of the body, or at least moving around. I couldn't figure out what this was. And of course, it's just some kind of salvage droid, right? Some type of salvage creature. There's a ton of creatures that break down organic compounds and things to, and they harvest organic material. So this one was no different. It captured Din. And, it's very funny. Din gets put in this cage. He's in a cage.
Mhm.
And this might have been one of my favorite parts of the story was that Grogu, in his, limited abilities, because it is limited, he's not quite there or capable of necessarily doing everything he can in other words, he's not like Luke. If Luke were here, he would have crushed this creature in 5 seconds.
Yes.
But, he's not capable. Grogu can't do anything like that. And, Grogu's just doing the best that he can. So, he tries to release Din from this cage and he can't because he's just, he's not fully trained. And it was good to see a situation where Grogu could not get out of the situation.
Mm.
Like we need to see stuff like that in the show. So he had to go get Bo-Katan, and I kind of made a joke about him going to when Grogu walks up to Din and he can't get him out, and Din says, "Go get Bo-Katan." I almost thought, wouldn't it be funny? It was like because I could just hear Din saying, "Go get mommy." And Grogu says, "Okay, daddy," he's gonna like run off. Like it
Do you
just
think? Do you think there'll be some shipping going on there between Din and Bo-Katan?
Well, why not? I mean, she's attractive, right? She's an attractive woman. She
Holy
looks
smokes! I think
great.
that's rather understating it. It's Katie
Why isn't
Sackhoff.
he attracted to her? The Mandalorians are not celibates. They're not
Mhm.
celibates. They build clans. They have families. Why
Mhm.
not let us see a realistic interpretation? She's kind of liking him after this episode, Russ. She's looking at him a little differently. She's like, he's not so bad. He may not be. This is what I'm thinking she's thinking. He's not the sharpest tool in the drawer, but he's not a bad guy. This is what she's looking at him as. But she doesn't know that as a child of the watch, he's kind of been pushed aside and held back a little bit. She knows nothing of this. She knows he's in a cult. You see, imagine you meet somebody, just look at it from this point of view. You meet somebody, they're great, you find out they're in a cult. Because Din goes out into wherever he goes, does bounties, collects a ton of money, and brings it back and gives it to the cult leader, the armorer.
Yep.
It's a cult. He should have like millions of dollars. Considering how great he is and that huge stash of Beskar, that was probably like $1 million worth of money that he brought into the cult.
Yeah.
But they're still like, well, you're not a real Mandalorian. And I'm like, excuse me? Do you realize what this man has done for you guys? Do you realize? I mean, it is true they had to leave their lair and everything. But the point is, I had to wonder to myself, it's just that this cult, the way the cult runs, there are rules. And she didn't think he was ever going to find these waters. So, Grogu's got to go and get Bo-Katan, and Bo-Katan is more than capable of saving him. We saw that she even picks up the dark saber at some point, and it is so satisfying to see her pick up the dark saber, because she had lost her Mandalorian mojo, as I'd said before, Russ. And I just have to wonder about it. Obviously, I know nothing keeps him from his mission, but gee, Russ, this woman is a princess. Like, what you can see, this is kind of a dark picture. What is going on here? Why are they not? There should be some kind of attraction. She's beautiful. He's a good looking guy. Why?
Well, I think from a writing perspective, if you like, hey Nathan, they seem to be sort of, well, we're asking the question, right? Why aren't they together? But for me, I kind of hope it's a little bit of a Mulder and Scully thing, where the attraction's obviously there and the chemistry's obviously there, but they don't actually fulfill this until maybe the final season of the Mandalorian. Or didn't they say that there's no arc to this? It's just going to go on and on and on, like the High Chaparral or something like that. Or Bonanza or whatever. It's just going to run and run and run until it no longer runs. So I think just the format of the show, if you're writing this show, you want to have that sexual tension in there. You want to have these conversations online. You want to see the Reddit posts about why they can't get together. But if you're writing it, you don't ever really want to get them together.
Yeah.
Because how then then it doesn't become the Mandalorian. Then it's the sort of Bo-Katan and Din Djarin show, and the whole dynamic sort of shifts. The whole idea is he's a lone bounty hunter. It's a bit like Lone Wolf and Cub, and the samurai movies from the 60s in Japan, with this like really fierce killer with this little kid with him. And that's kind of the vibe, the spaghetti western slash samurai vibe that they're going for. So purely from a technical perspective, I don't think they should do it. But you never know.
Yeah, I mean, you know why I'm even bringing it up, and I'm kind of bringing it up. And thank you, Norwegian Kryptonian, and hello, Nathan. Um, Norwegian Kryptonian says the Beskar armor is worth $1 million space. Yeah, it's worth a lot of coin.
Mm.
He's kind of really wealthy now, and it is kind of. It's not that I'm saying he doesn't see the value in what he has. It's just that it's not. It feels kind of oblivious to him, but it doesn't. It can't be that oblivious because he wears it every day. Like he's in this armor. This is part of his identity, right? And so here's Bo-Katan she just kind of rescued the Mandalorian, and she's given him pogged soup, which I still don't know what it is, but I just love this scene because Grogu, she's making the pog soup for the Mandalorian, and Grogu's like opening his arms like to take some, like it's.
I think I think that's riffing on the Spartan blood soup,
Yes.
which they used to make with pig's blood and vinegar and stuff like that. And it was there's a sort of a apocryphal story about a visitor that goes to Sparta, and he has the blood soup, and he says, "Now I can see why your men are so willing to die in battle." Yeah.
Absolutely. And of course, eventually they end up, I'm just looking for the right thing to present because I have a bunch of things open and I'm not as fast. I'm going by this is like single finger. You remember people who used to type with just one finger? You remember those days? There was
Yeah.
people who were like, I'm not ever going to learn how to type or, do anything like that. And so they just did everything with one finger. That's what I'm doing with my computer because I don't have enough space on this desk area to put. This is way too much information. But anyway, they walk. She has to escort him to the mines because it's too hard to find. And I really like even though it's just everything's all broken up, it would have been nice to have seen Mandalore in live action, looking beautiful. I hope they give us some flashback scenes of it looking incredible. So there is that. Yeah, and Nathan, we are going to talk about that for sure in a second. Bonzo Kilborn is here. Hi. I'm here and everything is going to be all right. Yes.
That's good to know, man.
Brother Cousins toy review. Hi, Brother Cousins.
Hello,
guys. You've got to check out Brother Cousins toy reviews, especially I think it's called something Grails, Daily Grails, or something like that. Go to Brother Cousins channel and check out those Grails.
Charged to 90%.
Okay, my phone is charged. Check out
everybody knows it's charged to 90%.
I think it's called Morning Grills. Guys, yes, Brother Cousin says he loved this episode. Certainly do check out his channel, guys. Brother Cousins Toy Reviews.
Mm-hmm.
So good to see you, Brother Cousins. Yeah, it was a great episode. Yeah, they walk and they go there. And it is very interesting. She's walking there. She didn't think he was going to go there. But yeah, to get back to Nathan about this mythosaur, yeah, Nathan, this is what we're all hoping for, right? We want this to be something that's going to bring them all together.
And was this the creature that was actually in the water that they said was destroyed, but actually was not destroyed? Was that it? Because she passed like a Cthulhu beast, didn't she?
What it was, if I remember the lore correctly, and I could be wrong, guys, and you are right, Russ, what they said was that these creatures were hunted to extinction.
Mm-hmm.
And so apparently the theory, at least some of the Star Wars people are saying, not Star Wars official, but some of the people like us in the fandom are saying that the war on Mandalore awakened a dormant mythosaur.
I see. Is that? Did you get that from Thor or from Star Wars theory?
I don't remember where I got it from, but somebody said, "Hey, it's probably in the planet, and it was dormant. This is not official. This is just speculation, but it sounds good, doesn't it?"
Oh yeah, I like I said, everyone's saying they love this episode. They love this episode, and I there's, like I said, there's leaps of logic, but it's just thoroughly entertaining stuff. I mean, like how long was Mando trapped in those jaws? Because it must have been a number of days. Because how long does it take to get from Bo-Katan's house to Mandalore?
It'll take a few hours to get from Mandalore to Kalevala, where she lives. It's an
Mhm.
outlying moon,
Mhm.
so it probably was maybe a 5 or 6 hour round trip. Look, I'm making this shit up, Russ. I have no idea how long it takes. I'm just saying
No,
there
and
is.
that's the point of the Mandalorian. Like, it takes as long as it needs to get anywhere in that galaxy, and I think that's kind of the point. And I'm all right with that. I'm fine with that. In something like Andor, it makes a difference because when the Imperials are on their way to do something, you've got a certain amount of time before they arrive, and that timing is important, and the timing's often consistent, and so on and so on. Mando, who cares? Like, yeah, look, it took a couple of hours. It will be fine. That's right. Like, hey, look, Darksaber. I'm loving it. I'm really loving it. Talking of subverting expectations, I thought when he dropped the Darksaber, or when the creature took the dark saber off him, or it fell out of his pocket or whatever, and the blast up. First of all, I thought Grogu was going to force grab it, and then he didn't. And then when Bo-Katan picked it up, my head cannon was going in a completely different direction. I thought the rules would be, well, you lost it. It's no longer yours. It's now mine because I found it. And she killed something with it. So but she just, he just took it back, and I thought that was quite interesting. And as I said, now with this foreshadowing lark they've got going on in it, why did she do that? Is there a reason that she just, this is the thing that she's coveted, or is Bo-Katan's arc now that she has completely given up on everything, and it's up to Mando to show her the way? Like, I thought that was a very prescient line, um, when she's going on about the cult and how ridiculous the cult is, and then she's talking about her time as a princess, and so on and so on, and then she said, yeah, but my father was a great man, and he died, defending Mandalore, and he just looks at her and says, this is the way. I thought that was like, it was such a mic drop moment for me. I loved it because they come from such differing, you know philosophies. So I wonder, is my Mando adhering to the way, capital T, capital W, gonna drag Bo-Katan out of her torpor, or is something else? And now I don't know. So people have been saying this show is like so predictable, and what's going to happen. And I'm like, no, dude, I don't know now what Bo-Katan's going to do and what Mando's going to do. Like, he's obviously bathed himself in the waters, and that's the end of that quest, right?
Well, yeah, and it is very interesting to think about that, Russ. And I am going to respond. I just want to say, guys, it's Brother Cousin Story Reviews. This is his link, and it's Morning Grails. Morning Grails. Check out every morning. I think it's around 8 or 9 a.m. He has a show called Morning Grails, where he looks at 1/6 scale figures. So do check it out. And many of them are Star Wars related. So if you love Star Wars, you will love this show. Such a great thing for him to stop by. And Bonzo says, I like Katie Sackhoff, but I hope Mando gets to be the hero in his own show. This is a good point too.
Yeah, we were talking about this, and that would also be a problem, Bonzo. We were talking about shipping them and all that sort of thing. I don't think that they will. I think they might keep. I don't know if you heard it. I think they might keep it like Mulder and Scully. But you're right. If it would then become the Din and Bo-Katan show. So yeah, you're quite right.
Absolutely. And Retro Nerd Girl says it's about honor. Taking the dark sword without honor is a curse. She must win in battle. Well, what's interesting about this dark saber and this period in time is that the last time we saw the dark saber in the hands of Mandalorians, it had a very similar kind of we don't really know who should have it right now situation.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to see that anymore, because we already saw it in the Clone Wars. And now it's come back and we don't know who's supposed to have it. Well, Din kind of has it, but he can't wield it because he doesn't know how. She knows how to use it. We saw her use it to perfection. In fact, there's one scene, which is one of my favorite scenes in the show, where she has a dark sword, the dark saber, and she goes underneath that mechanical creature and slides with the saber. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I literally, like, my brain exploded. I was so happy to see her do something so cool looking with it. And it felt good. And then, she just put it down and Din put it back in his holster. And, it's like, it looks like the sword switches back and forth. It's amazing, Russ. It's amazing how many people know how to use this dark saber. And Din is not one of them. Paz Vizsla knows how to use it. The armorer knows how to use it. Bo-Katan knows how to use it. They know how to use this thing so well. And yet it's been 2 years and Din still doesn't know how to use it. Even if his heart isn't in ruling, he should know how to use this saber better, Russ.
But I think that's indicative of the fact that he has literally no interest in it. To him, it's just a tool, a weapon that can cut things. It holds no particular significance to him, which is kind of odd, really, considering.
For 2 years?
Yeah, but I
Why?
think it's a sword, isn't it? It doesn't hold any particular significance to Din Djarin in the way that it does to Bo-Katan. So for him, it's a sword, it's a lightsaber, that he's got hold of. But for her, it's Excalibur, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I agree with you, Tom. That I was wondering where its eye was, because I could see the like the horns of the mythosaur popping out of the water, or at least popping in the water. It wasn't out of the water, in the water. Bo-Katan's looking at it. It looked at her, and she looked at it directly in the face. The eye is as big as her entire head. And she just zoomed on by. And, I think that the mythosaur, this is not the first time the mythosaur has seen Mandalorians. Because it's probably very ancient creature, has seen Mandalorians before, so it knows who these people are. Maybe the mythosaur is even afraid of Mandalorians because in the past Mandalorians have hunted them down. Who knows what the story is in this animal behavior thing that we're seeing? All I know, Tom, is that it was exciting to see the mythosaur because, they're alive. There's one that's alive. And as Nathan said, we think it's going to unite the clans. I think it's going to unite the clans. This is a horrible photo, but this is someone's screenshot. God bless him for doing the screenshot, because I didn't do screenshots or screen grabs or whatever you want to call it. Whoever you are, whoever posted this online, bless your heart for doing that. But yeah, the idea is that this is going to unite all the clans. And, kind of looking at this, kind of trying to figure out what's going on. We saw the major players who are still major players, but they're very demure, Tom. I know, Tom, when you're saying about this mythosaur, it freaked you out and you weren't sure it was going to be that big. But honestly, Tom, everybody else knows how big this mythosaur is. Everybody else knows how to use the darksaber. Everybody else seems to know the lore and the history of Mandalore. How can Din be a child of the Watch and not have been taught any of this stuff by the armorer?
I don't know. Question. But my question would be to you. I know you know a lot more about Star Wars than I do. So you're talking about uniting the clans, right? Now, we know that this period is post Empire and I guess pre First Order, but it's post Empire. In that period of time, I don't suppose it counts anymore, does it? In the expanded universe, did they reform and become united again? Is that in the lore at all, or is that in the new lore, or do we just not know what happens to the Mandalorians in this particular timeline?
I have no idea. I have no idea. And I really am curious myself. I wish I knew, and I'm so sorry that I don't have that information. I feel very silly for not having that information. But honestly, Russ, I don't know in the timeline. Maybe somebody here knows what's going on with this period of the timeline and as to why this is happening. I really don't know, honestly, myself. And it is something to think about. I don't know if it's already written. I don't know what the story is. So I am completely ignorant about this. Does anybody know who is here in the timeline what is going on regarding that? So it's something to think about. I don't necessarily think it really matters. So Tom, I deleted that stuff, Tom, just so you know, that the question in there. So there is that. Anyway, sorry, Russ, I got a little distracted by something. Yeah, okay, thank you, Retro Nerd Girl.
It's all going over my head. I've got no idea what you're talking about.
Jamin D. Well, I'm doing stuff in the background. Jamin D says, hello. Hi, Jamin D. And Retro Nerd Girl is letting us know. Actually, it's not just Retro Nerd Girl, but also Bonzo. But I'm going to read your comment, Retro Nerd Girl. Bonzo says, Mando is part of a separate cult. Cults tend to only tell the members what the cult leaders want being taught. Good point. Good point. And Retro Nerd Girl says this is new ground for the Mandalorians, meaning that there isn't anything written about it in this era.
This is great. This is great. And I don't know. Yeah, this is kind of like English literature, like when they say, the curtains are blue to display a sense of melancholy, and in fact the writer just thought that blue curtains were nice. And I don't know if they're commenting on a cult here, but the more you and I and the chat sort of talk about this, the more I keep thinking about this weird cult that he's been indoctrinated into and essentially brainwashed by, that Bo-Katan thinks is utterly ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is something that she has to deal with, just like any other woman who falls in love with a guy who's in a cult, right? I mean, this is
Because that happens a lot.
this is what happens, and it's a real world problem, right? So my real question is, will the armorer welcome him back as a child of the watch? I almost hope she doesn't, because I think he could do better outside. Could he do better with a different clan? This is the question. Could not that this really matters. Oh, thank you, Tom. Thank you, Tom. It was on the, I'll send it to you. I wondered, this is probably someone's artwork. Whoever you are, thank you for this artwork. I did not do this picture myself. Will Mando ever leave Children of the Watch? Because even Grogu doesn't have a helmet. Will he have to put on a helmet one day and keep that on forever? Right, Russ?
I don't know. I think that the being part of that cult is very much sort of core to his character. This is the way, right? I don't think he can, because for one, they'd lose their catchphrase. But I think that the conflict, if there is sort of sparks flying between him and Bo-Katan, is his loyalty to the clan and perhaps his love for Bo-Katan, and perhaps that's going to be the Mulder and Scully thing. Like, he won't leave the watch because it's core to his being, but at the same time he yearns to leave the watch, because certainly Bo-Katan isn't the type that's going to say, okay, well, I love him, I'll join the watch and keep my helmet. She's not going to do that. She has an entirely different vision or had an entirely different vision for the future of Mandalore. So yeah, I don't know. I don't think he will.
Russ, I hadn't thought about that. And this is something that's really important, and maybe even the basis of this whole show, is that his biggest obstacle is Bo-Katan. She does have a different vision, something that I don't even know what her vision is, but it's certainly more complicated and more involved than anything Din is thinking right now. Like, he's not even there. All he's thinking about is wanting to be back in the the Children of the Watch Mandalorian group. He's not even thinking about any of this other stuff. It is very interesting to see people just, so my real comment was, it's just so interesting to see how everybody else can seem to wield this dark saber, except for Din, who is just, obviously he's never used it before, but they all have, right?
Well, he was using it he was fighting the Morlocks with it, wasn't he?
He was, but what I mean, like, because Bo-Katan used it maybe 15 years ago, or it might have been 5 years ago. No, maybe 15 years ago, when her sister was alive, before the fall of Mandalore, while her sister was, she was very, very young when she joined the Death Watch. And I think that it is very interesting to see the armorer probably has used it several times. I always thought it was Sabine Wren, because she was the only other Mandalorian that I saw use the dark saber. But how did even Sabine Wren know how to use it? Did her mother from Clan Wren, did her mother know how to use the dark saber? How many people had and used that sword? We know Darth Maul had it for a time. We know the Vizslas are the ones in the family who had it. So maybe there's many more people who we don't know have actually used this sword through history. Bonzo says, if Mando is no longer a Mando, how does he keep his armor when Mando found justified wearing armor? Mando took it from him. Yeah. This is all good questions. Can you go from clan to clan? Does anybody go from clan to clan? If you marry another Mandalorian, I've never seen a Mandalorian wedding. I'm assuming they take place. If you marry another Mandalorian, do you leave your clan armor behind, or do you keep it? What happens to you? Do you keep your family name? These are all things I think are.
Well, my fan theory on Bonzo's question is, because he went back and said to the armorer, I want to bathe in the in the waters and all that kind of thing, and thus be cleansed and reborn. So he kind of has to prove his worthiness. So I don't think they would, in my head canon, would take it off him, because then he's going, and he'll do it or die in the attempt, right? So whatever happens, the armor will be used correctly, like with the shield or on it, kind of thing. That's my head canon. That's my guess, Bonzo. And there's Numenara.
Hi,
Hello.
Luminar843. So good to see you guys. Of course, check out Figure Flex Fridays with Luminar843 on the 1/6 scale man network, guys, for all those fantastic 1/6 scale poses and so much more. Luminar843, it's great to see you this morning. Such a pleasure. Luminar843, let us know what you're thinking about this episode for sure. We'd love to hear what you have to say. And I was thinking the same thing, Gary. Who stole those spa stairs? You need those spa stairs in the pool or else you fall right to the bottom. Nobody likes that. It just destroys the spa experience. And you
Health and
see,
safety. Health and safety.
that's right.
Where are the signs? In the high, when the guy in the high vis, hey, you can't fucking go in there.
And Nathan says you have to win the dark saber in battle. That's why she returned it. Definitely.
What if he was dead?
Right. What if she
Hypothetically, right? So she gets there, and his bodily fluids have been all taken out, and the creature's taken the Beskar, and he was dead. Is it then legit to take the dark saber? And I'm just asking for my own sake.
Yeah, this is a good question. And Nathan, you are right. Nathan, 100%. You have to win it in a battle. Now, what's interesting is that when they got the dark saber the last time, when I say the last time, it may not be the actual last time. Let's say in the television shows, I think it was in Rebels, it was Ezra who picked it up and gave it either to Sabine or to Bo-Katan. And it was a very different way of acquiring it. Darth Maul was the last person to have it. And technically speaking, because Darth Maul was supposedly beaten and conquered by the Emperor, Darth Sidious, according to they're saying that the person who actually is supposed to have it, or that it belongs to, is Luke Skywalker. And then, yes, I did watch this online. It's not official. This is just, one of my other, Tom, yes, it is. This is someone's speculation about how it would go down as to who would own it, depending upon, if the person dies. So if somebody dies, technically speaking, if Mando is the actual owner of the Darksaber, it would go to Grogu. If Mando died, its rightful heir would go to Grogu, because there was no battle that took place. He just was killed. Grogu would get the saber. I'm glad that Grogu didn't pick up the saber and start fighting with it. I think he's seen it before and knows about it, but he doesn't know how to fight with a saber yet. I don't think he knows how to do that well. So he was starting to learn. Luke was showing him, you have to create it and make it. And I think he has a lot of knowledge, but he's probably like, oh, daddy's playing around with the dark saber again, like, oh,
yeah, it's interesting you say about making it. I remember when I was young, reading the novelization of Return of the Jedi, and there was a scene at the beginning of that novel, and it's just popped into my head, where Luke Skywalker is actually making the lightsaber with the green blade, and he's putting the crystals in it and all that kind of thing, and you actually see in that sequence he puts it inside R2, and it was only in the novel. I don't know if that was a deleted scene or if they filmed it or whatever, but it just struck me, a bit of Star Wars nerdery there for you. But I tell you who is the Mandalorian nerd is Retro. She's coming in with hashtag facts all over the place here. I'm getting scared with a in-depth knowledge of Mandalorian. Are you a Mandalorian, Retro? Is that what it is?
Part of the 501st Retro Nerd Girl.
This is it. Questions that we need to know.
And it is good to know this. Thank you, Retro Nerd Girl. You can switch clans if they will have you. We certainly are. And I did mention this the last time we spoke, Russ, that I like to see more of the Mandalorian rituals. I was hoping they would do a flashback where we got to see Bo-Katan doing her, she goes to sleep and she wakes up, after having dreamt about the day that she took the creed, the Mandalorian oath, which I thought would be very interesting, remembering that day so many years ago. Of course, she verbally told us, but it would have been very interesting to see her, and then maybe her sister Satine and the whole family, her father Adonai being there, watching her very proudly take the creed and get baptized in the sacred waters, or whatever it was. It certainly would be very interesting. And thank you, Retro Nerd Girl. Maybe we need to join a clan. Gary Bando Sandwich says The Mandalorian or Adventures in Space with Giant Monsters more pop up every season. Yes, as I like to call it, the adventures and misadventures of Grogu.
Yeah. Well, we were saying at the beginning, Gal, I think that what did I say? Star Wars is all things to all people. Yes. And this isn't Andor, and it's not Rogue One, it's Mandalorian, and it's very comic strippy, and things just sort of happen in it. It almost feels like reading a comic, this show. It really does. You know, like he's sort of turning over the pages, and you know, oh, there he is. He's having a fight with a, you know, cyborg, and now he's captured, and oh, here comes Grogu. You know, it really does feel like one of those comics. Yeah,
Yeah,
to
I
me
do want
anyway.
to mention everybody that there was daylight savings time in New York in the United States. So it was an hour. Is it? Did we spring ahead, Tom? We sprung ahead. So it's really like 9:30, but we started at 10:30. And but it was really for everybody else, this is the normal start time. So it is 10:30 in New York now. That's why the time is different. I had forgotten that. Tom reminded me, but I didn't send out a reminder to everybody. Next time in the community page, I'll send out a reminder so we all know. And Pirate Queen says, good morning. Happy Where Did
There
My
she
Power Go?
is, a pirate queen.
And Pirate Queen, did you ever find that Reddit, thing
Yeah, let
for
us know.
you?
Yeah.
Let us know how that turned out. Retro Nerd Girl says, if Din died, she would have to fight someone challenging to. Yes.
Hmm.
Yes. Yes. That is true. And yes, we did start early. Stavros, so good to see you. 65 was such a great movie. Really? I haven't seen that yet. Is that the one? What is 65?
I don't know.
Okay. We're gonna tell us what that is, Stavros. Hope everyone is awesome this fine. And today is Super Bowl.
Is it? No,
I
that was a couple of
know.
weeks ago, wasn't it?
I don't know. He might be talking about some other sporting event, but I want to be Amanda. Oh, okay. Retro Nerd Girl. I think I would join you there. We could both join. I'll let you know when the ceremony.
If you could join, and I guess you can throw this out to the chat as well. If you could join a Star Wars faction, what faction would you be?
I absolutely would join Clan Kreese because they are always in the thick
Out
of.
of all the Star Wars factions, would you be a Jedi? Would you be
Well,
uh,
because I don't have any natural powers, I'd want to be like the Mandalorians because you could always switch and change things. You can use dark sabers or lightsabers. You can use anything as a Mandalorian. You can go anywhere in the universe. You have a famous, your reputation precedes you as a Mandalorian. I'd want to be a Mandalorian. That's what I'd want to be. Now, I would be a Mandalorian, however, living on Coruscant. And I certainly would be, she's a Mandalorian, but she lives on Coruscant. Why is that? I just like the Coruscant lifestyle, and I certainly would make sure after a long few weeks in battle, I would go back to Coruscant for some R&R. What about you, Russ?
I would be working with Dedra Miro for the Empire.
What?
That's 100%. I love the aesthetic. I love the uniforms. I've got the right accent. I'd be a shoe-in. I would replace. What's his name? The guy from Andor.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. I would replace him in her eyes, and I'd be her new number 2, and I'd hunt down the rebel scum with her.
Well, you know something? You would be a formidable foe, and I could see you fitting in very well there. I see you rising through the ranks.
I can even say it, you rebel scum, and I don't have to put on an accent to do it.
I love it. I think that you'd be
Cyril. Thanks, Gal. Cyril.
Yes, Cyril. Oh, you want to replace Cyril? Well,
I would replace Cyril Khan in Dedra's Eyes as a new go-to guy. I'd be there fighting the people off and say maybe I would have been one of those stormtroopers, the death troopers, and I'd get a promotion to become an Imperial officer under Dedra's watch. That's it.
I think that you could whip all those guys into shape, Russ, and I would be frightened of you, especially if you were the person who was governing my sector. If you came down to Coruscant, well, you know what? I would meet you at one of Mon Mothma's parties, probably, as long as she's still there, whoever takes her place. And, honestly, did the Mandalorians have a senator ever on Coruscant? Probably.
Possibly.
So, maybe I would become a senator and do something like that. And perhaps our paths would cross and, we could enjoy the Coruscant lifestyle together. Who knows? But regardless, Russ, you would be a formidable foe, and I would never want to cross you as you lay down the law in the galaxy.
Fist of the Empire, you see.
Yes.
So what else we got going on here? Did we get any shout outs? I saw somebody would have a purple lightsaber and
first of all, let's hear everybody's thoughts on what they want to be. And Retro Nerd Girl and I are already Mandalorians here. Gary Bando Sandwich says Bo-Katan will ride that mythosaur. That has so many different meanings to me, Gary. But you know something? Who will ride this mythosaur? Guys, tell us who you think's going to ride this mythosaur. Bonzo says Grogu really should be learning. Yes, thank you very much. He needs to continue learning. He's so much to learn.
This was brought up a lot, and I think even our as much as she loves Grogu, would come down on this side. This all almost feels like we need to sell more toys. We need to have this cute factor in there. There's no real reason for Grogu at this point. I feel like, as I said last week, the whole emotional impact of him going away, and the whole point of this series of Din regaining his honor was because he wanted this child to see his face and to know that he loved him and all that stuff. I'm getting choked up. To know that he loved him and stuff like that. And then he's back, and I just think that's not great.
Yeah, I agree. We all know it's wrong. And I do just want to bring this up here about
this thing. Yeah. I saw the trailer for that, man. It's good, right? Okay, cool.
I do want to say that this man looks so good on a movie poster. He was a great Kylo Ren. I thought he looked great as that character. He really is marketable, Russ. This is an actor you want to have in your film.
100%. He's a brilliant actor as well. You know,
absolutely.
like with his dramas and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I think that he is amazing. So I just wanted to show it. Thank you, Stavros. Thank you, Stavros, for this. 65 million years ago. I also watched, I think there was another one, 10 million BC or whatever it was. As far as I'm concerned, I love movies like this, but I also want to see these things. And I know she just passed away. What is this actress's name? In 10,000 BC. I want to see people in animal skins, bikinis. I want to see all that good stuff. I want to see men in loincloths. 65 million. Raquel Welch.
I keep telling you, watch Spartacus. It will check every single box that you want checked. Believe me, it refreshes the parts other shows cannot reach. That's all I'm telling you.
Yeah, and this is something to think about. But I did just want to show it, Stavros. This movie poster sells it. If I were going to the movies cold, you know, let's say we're going to the movies, what we see, we don't know. Russ, if we were going as a group and you saw this, you'd be like, yeah, I want to see that. I want to see this film. It looks really cool. Adam Driver looks like he's like, oh my God, what the hell am I doing on this planet? It reminds me of Predators. You remember the film?
Oh, yeah, I love Predators.
This poster reminds me of it because you remember they were kind of like all brought there, but they didn't know where they were or what they were up against. And this kind of has that feeling to it. Prehistoric Earth had a visitor. And of course it's you know, you're the one, oh my goodness, now you're fighting all these dinosaurs. But yes, let's see. Nathan Trujillo says this is happening after the fall of the Empire and rise of Snoke and the Resistance. Yes.
Yeah, I missed the context of that one, Nathan. Sorry.
Yeah, he means Grogu.
Right. Okay.
I'm rebel scum to my core. So Bonzo would be a rebel. Bonzo, we're gonna have to watch you. We're gonna have to watch you. You'd probably be with those Andor rebel people.
Exactly.
I have to warn all my girlfriends on Coruscant not to get involved with a rebel, because the next thing you know, you'll be sleeping on rocks on some crazy moon somewhere, planning some crazy
and robbing our cash. Our hard-earned cash that we have to pay our soldiers with. It's outrageous. How do you think these services run? Do you think they run out of thin air? No, they don't. The Empire works hard to provide you with all these facilities.
Bonzo, it's the last thing you want. Trust me. Join me on Coruscant. I'll be at Mon Mothma's parties. We can talk about it all over some kind of squiggy little things, and we'll have a good time.
Stavros was the Sith.
Stavros says, I'm a Sith with a purple green saber. Wow, I love this, Stavros. Yeah, wow. I need to be careful with you because Siths have so much influence over everything. Certainly, you will be traveling the galaxy with your saber in hand, you know, pretty much doing whatever you like. Yes, and it is Adam Driver with dinosaurs, and it is Cyril.
I think Joe's dismayed because I'm joining the Empire.
Hey, that's not nice, Bonzo.
No, it's not because, you know, I would be harassing Deirdre. I just admire her. I think I think you were around for the sort of Andor rantings, and I just thought she's just top drawer. I love that character so much. She's literally, I think I said at the time, I think she's one of my all-time favorite Star Wars character, if not my favorite Star Wars character. She's just so well done, so well performed. and I feel for her, and I want her and Cyril to succeed, and that's good writing because they're nominally the baddies, but I think you can see you want her to do well. You're like, come on, yeah, and
You
at
know,
the same time you're rooting for Andor.
Deidre Miro is infectious, and I don't know if you know this, but I was accepted into a it's kind of like an internship program with Deidre on Coruscant. So I'm really excited to be doing that internship program. She's a rising star in the Empire. They're trying to recruit more women. I'm not quite sure whether it's right for me, but it is a huge opportunity. And I'll let you guys know how that's going further in my Coruscant Mon Mothma Party series coming up. So there is that. And Stavros says Grogu dies in episode 4 or 5. My theory, interesting, Stavros.
I don't think so, Stavros. I think he's too much of a money spinner.
The Pirate Queen says that she really wanted more Mando adventures. I think we all want more Mando adventures without Grogu, because Grogu's still a kid, and he's the only. So far, I've seen these other Mandalorians, and they don't take their kids with them everywhere. But
no, they don't.
Yeah, and maybe that might be a point of contention with the Watch group, that he doesn't trust them with Grogu to protect Grogu. That could be something else, that I'm not sure is true, but it's something to think about. I would be the inventor of the Bacta tank in Star Wars, rolling in credits on my own Outer Rim planet harem.
Yes, the Imperial Health Service. Good job.
Yeah. And Bonzo says you must watch Spartacus. I am. Hey, Bonzo, we're going to be doing a special program on Spartacus, not just on Positive Fandom, but also on the Burnettwork, aka Imagination Connoisseurs Unlimited. So please do be on the watch out for that. Pirate Queen says Adam Driver's personal story is very interesting. I'm hoping he makes it as an action hero. Now, he was former military, right? Pirate Queen, right, Russ? He was former military.
I don't know. I was going to ask what his personal story is, but I guess if you're saying that, then it must be so. Hey, Stubble.
Hey, Stubble, how are you? Guys, as you know, Stubble and I are going to be reviewing the Wheel of Time Season 2. We did review the Wheel of Time Season 1. We're going to be doing a review of that on the Burnettwork, and we're going to be continuing with Wheel of Time Season 2 when it starts this year, but we're also going to be reviewing some very interesting books as well. So do keep an eye out for that. Bonzo Kilborn says, I will be fighting you and your bourgeoisie ilk until the galaxy is free. Well, you know what? I look forward to it, Bonzo Kilborn. Yeah, it's going to be a great fight. It's going to be amazing. Okay. Hey, Brandon Kane.
Oh, dude, no spoilers. Come on.
Hey, Brandon, how are you? I like the little, is that a bunny or I can't tell. Is it a dog? It's his cute dog. Very cute. Yes, he is a Marine. Thank you, Joe. That's what I thought. Thank you for your service, Adam Driver. Yeah, he's seen it for real. Thank you, Tom Jr. Jackson. Yeah, I remember him mentioning that he was a Marine here. Okay.
I don't know, Stubble, but if you Google that, I guarantee you will find whatever evidence you want. I haven't Googled it personally. I'm just putting it out there because I don't want any more trips down to HR, as Bonzo was saying. But I'm pretty sure that you'll find photographic evidence online as to whether that's true or not.
Yeah, I think they take them off. I think the majority of them take them off. And there is a reason why the Children of the Watch keep their masks on. I think there's a bunch of salacious characters, except for maybe Paz Vizsla, because we kind of know what he looks like, don't we? We know what Paz Vizsla looks like, but the rest of them, the armor, we don't know, and we don't know what the rest of the clan looks like. So there's that. Adam Bonzo says Adam Driver was set to deploy with the U.S. Marines, but he got hurt in a bad mountain bike. He was medically discharged. Interesting. Okay, so well, that was very interesting. I think Russ, the final thing I'm going to say is that I wasn't expecting Bo-Katan to somehow rejoin and be bathed in these waters of the sacred waters with Mando.
She has as well. Yeah, I didn't even think of that. But now she's bathed in the sacred waters, even if she was just saving his life for the second time. What does that mean? So many questions about this show that people are just saying is a nothing show, but there's so much going on. And like I said, I don't know if this is like English literature and this is all, the curtains were blue, but with the foreshadowing that they've demonstrated thus far, I'm beginning to think that all of it, some, well, not all of it, but some of it will certainly have ramifications later on down the line.
Yes, absolutely. You know what happens when you bathe in the waters together, Russ? You know,
I don't know. I don't want another trip. I don't want a trip down to HR, like I keep saying.
they have this bond now of an experience that they took together, that you can't ever replace a bond like that. So I'm just saying that they, maybe they're tight. Maybe they become a tighter crew. Who knows? And I also didn't expect to see a mythosaur. That's the other thing that was very surprising. Gee, what else are they going to throw at us in the next episode? Nathan says, did you notice Grogu's developing? That lady thought Grogu said a word when they arrived in Tatooine. Yes. And I could have sworn I thought I heard him say at some point. He says that.
I definitely heard that.
Yeah, I did too, because he just like he does this little, right? He's saying It is so wonderful to see how Grogu is developing, Nathan. Certainly he is just loving this, and I know he said my name at some point during the show. So there is that. Russ, do you have any final comments about the Mandalorian?
No, just to say, just to reiterate what I just said a moment ago, there is so much going on. I think Retro and I agree. It's like a comic book, and really is like a comic book in that now I've got to wait for next week for the next issue to come out, and I'm not happy about that. I kind of wanted to binge it. Hey, Mario.
Hi, Mario Lopez. How are you? I hope you and your family are well, Mario. Good to see you, Mario. What did you think if you did see the episode of The Mandalorian? Let us know. But yeah, it is kind of like a comic book. If it was a comic book, we'd have to wait a month for the next episode issue. So at least we don't have to wait a month. So there is that. But yeah, I just enjoyed it. I think it was very interesting and so amazing. Hey, Darth Plato.
Hey, Darth Plato.
How are you today? Now, Russ, this is going to be the last episode of The Last of Us. It's going to be wrapping up, certainly on HBO Max. The finale is tomorrow night. I'm going to miss the finale of tonight. The finale is tonight, but I'm going to miss it because I, along with Retro Nerd Girl and Lance from the Outcast Creative, as well as the Cinemike, are going to be doing an Oscar party. Maybe to remind Lance that it is
yeah, it's an hour before. It's going to be an hour earlier.
Retro Nerd Girl, just as a reminder, it is right now. It's what time is it? 11:42 p.m. a.m. Jesus, 11:42 a.m. in New York. We had daylight savings time, so just be careful. It's going to be 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time start time tonight. Oh, okay. Okay, gotcha. Okay, Mario, fair enough.
Yeah, I tell you what, though, Mario, if you get a chance, do sort of try and rewatch the beginning of this. I know you came in around about the hour mark, but we talked a lot about it, and on the surface, maybe it is like a kid show, but actually, I'm really digging it, man. Like, and often we agree, we actually agree on most things, don't we? But this one, no, I'm really loving this season. I really am, really enjoying it.
Me too. And Gary Bando Sandwich says Oscar party. That's right. A live Oscar party. We will be starting at 7 p.m. tonight. And we will continue to go on with the party as planned. It's going to be cool. Yes. Richard Nurgle says should be on camera all the time.
I can only agree with that. But once again, as you pointed out, Bonzo, I don't want to get sent down to HR, but yes, I can wholeheartedly agree with that sentiment.
Well, if you guys would like to see Retro Nerd Girl, she will be on my channel tonight as well. So do check that out. And Retro Nerd Girl does some fantastic watch parties as well. So do check those out too. Here is the announcement. Tom says, join Artem tonight at 7 p.m. All the glitz and glamour of the awards. It's Positive Fandom Oscars 2023 live watch party. Okay. And guys, the other thing I was going to say is I will be doing the final episode watch of The Last of Us with Lorraine Creole on Monday at 9 p.m. here on Positive Fandom, but I couldn't do it right after the award ceremony. Like, I can't do that.
So I figured, I haven't caught up with it because I kind of want to binge the last 3 episodes, and I figured like next week's Positive Fandom we could deep dive into The Last of Us and actually see where it ends up and what happens and things like that. So I haven't seen any of the new episodes. Yeah, I've been a little bit busy lately. I've been commissioned to write something, and I tend to, yeah, I tend to immerse myself in the genre that I'm writing into, and that means basically watching loads of films so I can rip bits off of it, right? So I've been watching loads of karate movies lately, and this is a bit of a different thing that I'm writing. Actually, I've never really done this before. Yeah, and I sat down yesterday and I banged out 1,000 words of a treatment in one sitting, and I was like, wow, I just wrote 1,000 words. That's been a while, so I'm really happy about that. But what it does mean is that I was supposed to have watched something with Darth Plato, and I haven't been keeping up with The Last of Us. And like I was watching a movie before I came on here. I literally just started it, and which I wanted to talk about actually. So yeah, time is at a bit of a premium at the moment, but I will get them watched in time for next week's show.
Okay. So that's perfect. And Russ, you and I are ending the show earlier today. So we're going to be ending the show earlier.
Oh, thanks, Bonzo.
Yes,
I've got a bit more time if we want to carry on, or it's entirely up to you.
Yeah, I'm going to stop the show right now. But and thank you, Russ, for mentioning that. Guys, do check out Russ Whitfield's contact information here in the bio, in the description, as well as in the chat. I just want to thank everybody for being here today.
Thanks, guys.
Tom Jr. Jackson, my moderator. We are all goof people. And certainly, gee, everybody, thank you for showing up. And we loved hearing all of your comments. And Tom, where's your link? Because I don't see it in here. Please do that. Make sure you check out Tom Jr. Jackson's channel. Here is Russ's Amazon page for his books, the Gladiatrix series. Make sure you also check that out as well. And follow Russ on russwhitfield.com. Guys, you can always follow me here on Positive Fandom. Of course, I'll be back on the air tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But you can also find me on the Burnettwork, aka Imagination Connoisseurs Unlimited, as well as Lorena Creole's channel, and also on the 1/6 Scale Man Network. So I just want to thank everybody for being here today. It's been such a wonderful discussion. Yes, it's so much fun, and I can't wait. Retro Nerd Girls, we meet up later today for the watch party. Just thank you, everybody. Thank you, Russ, as always.
Thank you so much
for being here. I had a great time. Guys, I am doing live watch parties for Picard season 3 as well as for The Mandalorian. So check out either here on Positive Fandom or on the Burnettwork. And thank you, everybody. Hope you all are well. Have a great rest of your day. And remember, guys, no matter where you are in the galaxy, always remember to please be kind. Take care, everybody.
Bye, guys. Thank you so much.